Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on this lovely Saturday afternoon. For today's episode of the Life Beyond Earth podcast, we have a very special extremophile as our guest.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Aaron. Thank you for having me on the podcast today.
My pleasure. So let's get started, shall we? Would you mind introducing yourself to the people listening at home?
Sure thing. My name is Ethan. I'm a tardigrade, and I belong to a family of animals called extremophiles. We are microscopic, eight-legged animals that have been to outer space and would likely survive the apocalypse.
Wow, that's truly incredible. I just want to go back to that word you used, extremophile. Could you explain a little more about what an extremophile is?
So basically, extremophiles are organisms with the ability to thrive in extreme environments, such as extremely cold temperatures or extremely hot temperatures, just to give you some examples.
That makes a lot of sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but using extremophiles, we can determine under which range of conditions life is possible.
That is correct. However, studies on extremophiles have since reshaped some of scientists' ideas on the origin, fundamental features, and limits of life.
So, extremophiles have helped us and will continue to help us in more ways than we could ever imagine. I know you talked about the fact that tardigrades can live in very extreme conditions, but do you guys prefer extreme environments, or are you guys able to live in normal conditions as well?
As a tardigrade, our preferred habitat would be in the interior dampness of moss, lichen, leaf litter, and soil. We also prefer fresh or salt water, as we need water around our bodies so that we can prevent uncontrolled desiccation. If our bodies don't have some type of moisture, it becomes very difficult for us to perform gas exchanges.
I guess humans and tardigrades are similar in the fact that we would much rather be in a comfortable habitat than one that causes us discomfort. To go back to the gas exchanges, why is that necessary, and what exactly is it?
So when tardigrades perform gas exchanges, it's essentially our way of breathing. Our bodies are microscopic, approximately 0.5 millimeters in length, so we don't necessarily have space for working organs. To breathe, we perform gas exchanges across our entire body.
Tardigrades are truly fascinating individuals. I'm curious, what aspects of an extremophile's biology allow for its survival in an extreme environment?
Very good question. We use unique enzymes called biomolecules and extremozymes. These extremozymes and biomolecules remain incredibly stable under harsh conditions, enabling metabolic reactions within, allowing us to live normally.
Are there different biomolecules and different extremozymes for different conditions?
Yes, there are. Thermozymes are what allow us to live in extreme heat conditions. The structural features in these enzymes, such as unique salt bridges, extensive hydrogen bonding, and hydrophobic interactions, are all encoded in the DNA sequence and are a crucial part as to why we could live in very hot conditions. There are also specific enzymes that retain their catalytic activity by allowing extensive structural flexibility. Through crystallographic studies and proteome analyses, these proteins were found to have reduced number of ion pairs, lowered interactions within subunits, clustered glycine residues, and a greater accessibility to achieve sight, which helps us remain active in extremely cold conditions.
What do tardigrades tell us about life beyond Earth?
As I mentioned before, tardigrades have been in outer space before, and not only did they go to space, but they were able to survive. Harvard astronomer A.V. Loeb said they could survive an impact by a rock and they could potentially be brought from another planet to Earth. This opens a whole new dimension of research for scientists, as this could show that life does indeed exist on planets outside of Earth. Not only that, but if we go back to what I mentioned before about how tardigrades and extremophiles in general can help determine which conditions are livable. So if tardigrades can survive on another planet and they were brought to Earth, this proves that life is possible on other planets and that it might already exist.
I think we should wrap it up now. Thank you so much for teaching me about extremophiles, and more specifically, tardigrades. I've learned so much, and I'm glad you were able to join me.
Thank you very much for having me.